Living with Katrina Lokko. I am so excited about everything that is going on the air of Bold and Unique Living. We have some exciting guests coming up in the future, and we have one here today. You know, Bold and Unique Living is not just about living this flashy lifestyle. It's about you taking control of who you are to the core and becoming that person and taking your own personal fingerprint and living that bold and unique lifestyle and sharing it with the world. Today I have with me someone very precious to me, very dear to me, and her name is Mitchelle Mono, and I want you guys to help me welcome Mitchelle.
Hello everyone. I am so glad to be here with Miss Katrina. I'm so honored to be on this show today.
I'm excited that you are here as well. How have you been?
I have been great. Life has its ups and downs, but I'm on my up currently, so that's exciting. A lot of exciting things coming down the pipeline, so I'm happy. And God's just been great. God's been great.
Yes, yeah. He definitely is that.
Yeah.
Today we're going to talk about some very important things. It's some things that I had to go through. You may even be going through them yourself, and I'm sure some of the things that she may have went through. It's talking about being prepared and being ready for the change. And we're not talking about the change of life. I know you see us women sitting here, we're talking about the change of life. That's a part of it, but not the total change. This new era, this new economy, this new technology, and everything that's going on in the world today has caused us to change the way we do everything in our life. How employment is, how business is done, everything. While there's some traditional and organic things that we should keep, well, there's some new stuff that we should implement and add to what we're already doing. And I just wanted to talk to Mitchelle about that. This is actually going to be a two-part show. I have a guest today, which is Mitchelle, and then I'll have another guest the following show to go over all this stuff, because I think people want to hear this right now. I think it's really good that they understand. Because I know I was like stuck in that ship for the moment. It's like, well, where do you go next? What do you do next? I mean, technology has changed so much, and I don't think people realize how much that it has changed our world. But one thing I don't think they realize is that there's still some things that they need to hold on to as well. Because we're trying to get rid of everything, but you need to figure out how to marry them.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Just coming from a generation where I was born into you're getting the computers coming up, and then now everything is just so much more. It's just grown so much more now, and so still I'm learning. Ever-changing technology is ever-changing and evolving. You want to stay with that as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to use this analogy, and you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't relate to that, because you are a little bit younger than me. But I remember when we had the 8-track tapes. I mean, your parents may have told you about it, or you may have seen them. Okay. And then when they switched to cassette tapes. Now, you know the cassette tape.
I do.
Well, let me even go back, because there was reel to reel, which that little tape was on the reel thing.
I've seen that on TV.
Yeah. Now you're really making me feel like. But the reel to reel, then we had like 8-track, then we had cassette tapes. But even those transitions were so hard for people to get rid of, because I remember there was a 8-track tape that my dad had, and the music was great on it, and you couldn't, at the time when it first started, you couldn't find it on a cassette tape. So we had to keep our player in order to hear the song that we loved so dearly. So eventually someone came up with the idea, okay, we need to convert what's already there, but we need to be able to maintain the same listening audience, but we need to bring it over to now. And that's what's going on now. We still need to maintain the same audience, but we just need to figure out how to make what they like work on this new technology.
Right.
And I think that's where people get stuck for two reasons. People don't want to give their stuff up. We get caught into it's mine, ownership, and we keep it, and we get into the same routine. And it's easier to use what you know than to learn something new.
That is so true. the newer generation after me has now gone into YouTubing. And that is apparently the new big and fresh thing that makes a lot of money as well. But it's a little tough for me because you have to learn how to do all of that, and there's a lot of variables that you have to put into it. But my little niece, who's just 6 years old, is like, yeah, I'm totally gonna be a YouTuber. And there are 6-year-olds that are, just YouTubing and already have a career and revenue from that. So I think that's great. But I also do want to add that keeping the things from back in the day is still a great idea. I think to myself, imagine if technology were to all crash one day.
Yes.
And we need to go back to the basics. And so I think it's very imperative to kind of keep that around, because you never know what could happen.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because I think about last year there was some type of accident. I can't even remember what company it was, but it was a major company. And here in the Dallas Metroplex, the electricity was out for days. It wasn't a national disaster or a natural disaster like tornado this particular time. I think it was something happened to like maybe AT&T, something.
Yes.
And out of electricity, when you went to the store, they had to get cash because their machines weren't working. Everything was down. And so here I was like, boop, boop, and everybody's like, did you know this was gonna happen? No, I didn't, but I'm old enough to know that I need to keep something right here in case this happened, because guess what? Technology does crash.
Right,
It does. It does. It crashes for an hour, 2 hours. Look at the people who were out of electricity for days.
Right.
How many of those people that actually knew how to keep warm, knew how to cook, even when and people are like, cook, how can you cook? There's no electricity. Okay, keep thinking that.
I think I could learn a thing or two from you, because if I were to lose electricity, I have no idea what I would do. I mean, back to the basics, I have candles. I have, it's a lighter. I could totally use that and maybe try to improvise, but it's people like you that we still need to draw knowledge and information and wisdom from, for our generation too, and just try to instill that in us. So, so you need the best of both worlds.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And us older generation need to listen to the younger. It goes hand in hand.
Yes,
it really does.
absolutely.
And kids should be seen and not heard. I tell my grandson all the time, tell me what you know. Tell me something new. And he does, and I'm amazed. And I'm like, well, how would that work for me? He may say like, well, you're too old, it won't work for you. But then sometimes he said, well, I'll show you, how it does that. Well, I'm going to go to break real quick because I want you to see these exciting commercials that we have on there. Please shop our advertisers. They will assist you in anything that you need. So just join us back. Now go get you something to drink. Get you a hot cup of coffee or some hot tea or a glass of water and come back and join us.
Most people don't plan their financial future because it's complicated. There's so much out there, and I'm here to help you be able to navigate through that and find out exactly what's going to fit right for you. Hi, my name is Sarah Markopoulos. I'm an agent with New York Life, and I office out of Frisco, Texas. When I was a little girl, my father was a life insurance agent out of our hometown where I was born. He was a servant of the people, and I wanted to be that myself and give that to others. I knew New York Life would be the one that could help me do that. It's my clients. Each and every single one of them are different. So I help them not only enjoy the fruits of their labor, but also they'll be able to be secure in their financial future. Because either way, a choice will be made for you, whether you make one for yourself independently or life makes that choice for you. At the end of the day, you'll know you'll be okay. I came to New York Life because I love New York Life. I know what New York Life can provide for you, and I want to be able to be the one to bring that to you.
You're back with Bold and Unique Living with Katrina Lokko and my guest Mitchelle Mono. Mitchelle, we were talking before we went to commercial break, we were talking about how merging the two together, marrying the two, the old technology with the new technology. Some things are needed, some things are not needed. But from your point of view, from your standpoint, you being in the age bracket that you are, and we won't tell you your age, but being in the age bracket that you're in, what are some things that you wish you could learn from us? What are some things?
Oh, that's a great question. Some things that I think I could learn from you guys would be, I think you guys have a wealth of knowledge. I think it's still needed in this world. As far as I think technology has, in a sense, taken over. So I find myself on my phone all day. I'm watching a show and I'm still on my phone. I find myself on my laptop. So one of the things that I think is very imperative is going outside, actually meeting people face to face and having conversations. I think we're kind of getting away from that, and I think that's still important to have that relation, that human relation between each other. And I think you guys do hold that, and I think maybe having that influence into our generation is something that is needed.
Yeah. And it is, because I will tell you, when I talk to people, especially, me being an entrepreneur, and I'm talking to people like, well, let's do a Zoom. And I'm like, I really wish we could just meet, talk in person. It's like, oh, no, this is the way. That way we don't have to drive. And I think, which is good, I'll do a Zoom if that's what you want to do. But I think it's worth it. It makes people feel like that you're invested in them when you can say, I'm going to get in this Dallas traffic.
Yes. Absolutely.
And drive probably an hour, maybe 2 hours to meet with you and enjoy. And let's drink some coffee, and most people nowadays are so quick, just get your coffee and let's Zoom. No, let's meet.
Yes, it's a different feel.
It is a different feel.
Yeah,
it is a different feel. And I think it takes away from that human touch.
Yes.
That human touch. That, hey, how are you doing? All that stuff that people need on a daily basis that will grow your emotions in a healthy way. But just to click and hi and this and that, it's nice when business gets done that way and just meeting people that you can't really see on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
But it is not the replacement for human relationship. And I think that's where I have a problem, because I like meeting people. And I do not want to use technology as a replacement for human relationships at all.
Absolutely. I think that it builds. I think one of the biggest concerns in the world today is loneliness.
Yes.
So when you use technology, you don't have that human touch or maybe that realness in that conversation as well, and maybe it could be rushed as well. So I think spending time is very important. I will say technology is also a great thing. I was born in Zimbabwe. I lived in England for 5 years. So it's a great way for me to keep in communication with my family and friends from back home. So I am appreciative of that as well.
Now that's good. That's what I like about it. You can see what everybody's doing and, really connect. But I do not think that we need to rely on either or. Totally rely on it, because there's a generation that's saying, get rid of all the old, and then there's the old generation that's saying, get rid of all the new. We just need to marry the two, and we need to figure out how to make that work. So you have some new things coming up. I know that you're going to be having your own talk show, Emerge with Timby. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Because it ties into what we're talking about. Am I correct?
Absolutely. So I am launching a talk show down the pipeline. It should launch sometime in 2020.
Yeah.
So the purpose of my talk show is really to interview and just have conversation with different people that have unique journeys, as far as, let's say, for instance, we all sometimes are influenced in our college decisions and our career decisions, but that might not necessarily be what you want. And that could be because maybe you think what you want is so difficult to attain. So I'm wanting to expose the different nuggets, if you will. And I think that exposure and just letting someone else's light shine gives permission to everybody else to let their light shine, and just even know what maybe some of the nuggets and the ways about it and the different routines that they need to adapt might be able to help them emerge. So I'm currently in my journey of emerging as we're speaking right now And so I think it's very important to always work on yourself.
Yes,
And always
yes.
just continue to grow and find different things that you can learn, because it's always ever going.
It is. And it's such strange you should say that. Well, not strange, but you know, before you emerge or before you move into the next level of you, the next dimension of you, don't you find that you always end up living what you're about to jump into?
Absolutely.
And so because it's got to be tested and proven.
Yes.
In order to know what you're talking about,
Yes.
it has to be tested. But sometimes you're like, no, I don't want this test. I don't want this test.
Yes.
Not at all. I just don't want it, you know.
That is so true. God placed this project on my heart, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna, work on this, and then all of a sudden, things just started to happen, and it's not an easy process. But I think that's why when you hear other people's stories, it continues to motivate you and encourage you, because sometimes it can break you, but you have to make that intentional decision to keep pushing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. So, well, I'm glad you keep pushing, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some very important things. Sometimes our show can get emotional for you, so if that's you right now, and you've heard something that her or I said, and it's kind of got you emotional, or it's got you even thinking, please feel free to reach out to us. If you feel like you want to reach out to us, ask us more questions, email us, ask us questions. If we can help you, we can. And if we can't help you, we will put you in the direction of someone that can. But what we don't want is you to turn your television off, or click your phone off, or click your computer off, however you're listening to us, and just forget about it and think that there's no help. You heard these stories, but there's no help for you. You are important, you are bold and unique, and I want you to understand that. So when we go to this excellent commercial and then come back, you'll get some more information.
My name is Dr. Yvonne Jones, and I'm here to introduce my new book, Toxic Leadership, a Curriculum to Identify and Prevent Toxic Leaders in Church Ministry. This is much needed, much needed. We have toxic leadership not only in church ministry, but in corporate America as well. And this book will help you, if you pick up a copy, it will help you to determine if you've been toxic, and we all have at some point. And also, it will help you in your church ministry and leadership. It will help you to be a better leader for the Lord, because people tend to love power, and that's one of the elements of toxic leadership, someone that loves power, manipulation, controlling everything. And if you pick up a copy of this book, I promise you, it will help you in your ministry. Amen. So pick up a copy. I promise you it'll help you, because God is a loving God. And also the book talks about servant leadership like Jesus, and to lead how Jesus would have you to lead, because we are living in these last days, last and evil days. And so this will help the church. It's not a call out. It's a call up to the kingdom of God, because he's on his way back for a church without a spot or wrinkle. So you can go to Zulon and pick this book up. You can go to Amazon.com. And you can also go to Barnes & Noble. It's also on Kindle. You can get a copy on Kindle as well. But pick up this book. Help yourself. Help your church to get to the next level in God. And watch God. I promise you, it will be a blessing in your church ministry. It will be a blessing in your individual ministry. And may God bless you and keep you. Amen.
Welcome back to Bold and Unique Living with Katrina Lokko and with Mitchelle Mono here, my guest. We have been talking about some very important things about old technology versus new, and how to marry the two together. how it has shaped how we think, how we live, what we think about each other, how there's the lack of human touch or human relationship because everybody's behind a screen. We have touched bases on a few things. This last segment, we really want to talk about the emotional dangers or the emotional enhancements that it's caused. I'm telling you, social media but it's called social media.
It's supposed to be social.
Yes.
It's supposed to be social, and I think it's taken a different turn than what it was made for. Yeah.
Because what I want to say is, people will click on that and they will say, "Oh my God, look at Michelle! She's doing so good. She's got her own talk show." But then they're like, "Oh, but I'm not doing anything."
Right.
Then the depression comes, or the envy, whatever, anything can come, and then there's emotional lack in there.
Yeah.
And so what do you say? When you look at social media, do you get those tendencies? I think everybody at some point do, and maybe it's not jealousy or envy, or maybe it's just that, well, why come I'm not there yet? Well, they're having this success. Well, why come? Have you ever experienced such things?
I actually have experienced that a few times, because I think a lot of people do naturally compare themselves to everybody else, whether it be I'm not where I'm supposed to be and I'm this old, I don't have kids, I'm not married yet, career-wise, and even looks-wise. So those are some of the things that I think I've experienced with social media, and I've taken active steps to maybe even take social media detox, or just get off of social media for some time, because it does bring anxiety, or it does bring depression, like you said, and it takes away from like the human touch that we spoke about before. But yes.
Yeah, I think this is why a lot of people that aren't on social media are probably still sane a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because growing up, we didn't have to worry about that
No.
stuff. We did not have to worry about all this technology stuff. And we had games that came later on, like the Atari. That was the first console that came out. But it was limited. What you did was limited. And even when the computers did come out, you weren't sitting behind the computer. You wasn't sitting behind these video games. That older generation wasn't playing that. So you had to get out and interact. And you didn't compare yourself to everybody else. Sometimes you did, at school or whatever. But most of the times you didn't. You just didn't. You just knew who you were, or you didn't know who you were and you were looking for who you were. But you never was faced on a daily basis, because most people, when they get up in the morning, because I've talked to people, the first thing they do is they grab that phone. I'm like, why?
Yes.
Why?
That's so true. And one thing that I think people need to remember is that when people post things, you don't know what they're going through as well. They're posting maybe the happy times and the things that are going on in their career, but they're not seeing the other piece of it as well, which I think we also need to remember. But my friend did say this week, and I loved what she said, is that you are amazing even when you are growing. Both are not, go hand in hand. They are both simultaneously ongoing. So I think comparison it's a very, very, very dangerous thing.
It really is. And if you use that, also not the comparing, but if you use that as a tool, because you'll hear people say, and I'm an entrepreneur like yourself and many other people, they'll say, if you don't have a website, I can't do business with you. If you don't have a social media presence, we're not hiring you for the job. And I'm like, well, what happened to getting to know somebody? Because my social media site, I can control what you see.
Yes.
I can control
Absolutely.
what you see and make you see whatever you need to see to hire me for the job, or whatever. I can control that.
Yes.
But if you come and have dinner with me and meet with me on a consistent basis, can't hide that.
Absolutely.
You just cannot. And I do not want to get, I don't want, my desire is not for people to get caught up in making that your decision maker.
Right.
You are allowing social media to determine who you do business with, where you shop, where you go. And my thing is, I like to tell people, I told a friend of mine this the other day, and I was like, so you'll go into a restaurant and sit there and wait while a stranger is cooking your food. A stranger is cooking your food, but you get on social media and you're skeptical.
Yeah, that's so true. It reminds me of the saying, don't judge a book by its cover.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people judge people by their social media.
Yes.
And you're right. Employers now do look at social media, and that's a deciding factor. Or LinkedIn, that's now a requirement as well for you to have, so that employers will actually meet you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know that we were allowing that to make a decision, but then my thing is, if you're telling me that this was the determining factor that we can't connect, that doesn't really say anything about me, but it tells me that I really don't need to do business with you, because you decide everything based on social media, and that's not good.
Yeah.
I want to do things based on my relationship with you,
Absolutely.
based on my experience with you.
Absolutely.
Now, will I go look at your social media sites? Because I have employees, and do I look at their social media sites? Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I look at their social media sites, but not to determine whether I want them to work for me, but are they representing the company the right way?
That's correct.
That's why I look at it.
Yes.
But their job title and what they do for me may be kick butt. And that's good.
Yeah.
But if I would have looked at their social media site to determine whether to hire them, I may not have hired them.
Absolutely.
And that's not good, because I would have missed some very serious opportunities, excellent opportunities, because of that.
Right.
Yes.
I think there are just so many different variables when it comes to social media. Like you say, employment, relationships. There's just so many things. People look at how many likes you have. People also look at how many followers or friends you have, quote unquote, friends you
Yes.
have. So yeah, I think it's definitely taken the wrong turn from what it was intended for. And I think we as people need to be intentional and try to reroute that back to what it was really meant for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Or you have to look at the DNA of why it was created, not even for us.
Absolutely.
But because I'm a firm believer in the creator's
Right.
character,
Yes.
the creator's personality is poured into what they've created.
Right.
And you have to look at that.
Yes.
You do.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been really, really good. We want to recap some things, but this is what I want to tell you first of all. Do not look at someone else's social media page and compare them to you. You are your own bold and unique person. You are your trend. You are your own brand. So do not try to be like anybody else. Don't try to compare yourself to anybody else. Do not let yourself be traumatized emotionally because of what you see on social media. Do not let social media be the determining factor of everything that you do in your life. Now, am I against social media? Absolutely not. I love social media. But what I don't want it to do is to form your opinion of someone else or even yourself. I don't want it to cause you to have sleepless nights because of something somebody said or did. I don't want that. And I think that's the part that we don't like. Even for business, I don't want that to determine whether you do business with somebody. Get to know them. Get off your couch, get out of your office, wherever you're at, and actually get out and meet people. See if they really can offer you the opportunity that you're looking for. And maybe you can do some partnering on some level, but you won't know that based on their social media site, because like we said earlier, you can control what people see on your social media about what you post. But you cannot control who you truly are to the core when they are building a relationship. Friendships. Everybody that you click and say, I get your friend request and yes, I accept, that is not your friend. A friend is someone you do life with. A friend is someone that sees your flaws and it does not matter. They continue being your friend and they continue helping you grow in the direction of where you're supposed to go to. A friend does not gossip. A friend does not post these such things on social media. So when you click, yes, I accept your friend request, be very cautious and what you call people. So Mitchelle, I just thank you for coming on and joining us, and we're excited for her new show that's coming out in 2020, Emerge with Timby. And we're just excited for you guys to become her audience on that show. Stay tuned for more information about Emerge with Timby and more great shows from Bold and Unique Living with Katrina Lokko.